Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Talbot. Thanks so much for coming in and speaking with me today about your retirement goals. So let's just get right to it. It looks like you both want to retire in 17 years when Maria is 67 and Mark is 64, beginning on January 1st, 2034. You expect your retirement portfolio to earn 10% pre-tax annually and your retirement to last 25 years. You anticipate a retirement income equal to 80% of your current income. This is also known as your wage replacement ratio. You expect inflation to be 3.5% and have 5% yearly wage increases. You don't want to consider Social Security retirement benefits when calculating the amount of capital needed to save for retirement. So I use two different models to calculate your retirement needs. The first model is the annuity approach. And under the annuity approach, you would take the amount of annuity payments that you want to receive during retirement, which we mentioned was 80% of your current income, and we find the present value of that amount to find out the amount that you need to invest today in order to save for retirement. We can also calculate the amount of annual payments that you would need to make for the next 17 years in order to meet that goal. So under the annuity approach, you would need a lump sum of $595,216 to save today, or you could save $74,202 every year to meet your retirement goal. This is way beyond what you're able to handle at this point, since your current net cash flow every year is $10,464. Now, I've made some suggestions throughout your financial plan to reduce the amount of debt and other expenses that you have every year. I believe it's crucial for you to follow these recommendations in order to meet your retirement goal. So if you followed my recommendations, you would have a net cash flow at the end of the year of about $20,000. So keeping that in mind, the current assumptions we have for your retirement needs are out of reach. Now, under the capital preservation model, which I'll mention but I won't focus on, the capital preservation model calculates the additional amount that you would need to save by the time you retire in order to leave behind an estate of a certain amount by the time you pass away. So you would need to have an additional $277,672.68 by the time you retire, in addition to the amount that I mentioned under the annuity model, in order to leave behind an estate equivalent to the present value of annuity payments. So let's not focus on that right now because it's much more money than I believe you're able to save at this point. So one recommendation I have is let's change the assumed percentage of your income that you expect to need for retirement. You said that you expected to use 80% of your current income. Well, I drafted an estimated cash flow statement for you guys for when you retire. It's on page 14 of the financial plan, and it looks like the total cash outflows only amount to about 55% of your earned income. So, and I made that a fairly conservative estimate. So let's use 55% as your assumed wage replacement ratio. And when we use that, under the annuity approach, it looks like you would need $409,211.03, or you would need to contribute $51,013.94 every year for the next 17 years to meet your goal. Now again, this is still rather high. So you already have $221,000 in retirement funds already saved, which includes Mark's retirement fund of $160,000, Mark's IRA of $9,000, and Maria's retirement fund of $52,000. I suggest that you liquidate another $98,691.50 of your other assets and contribute that towards the lump sum needed to be invested this year. That would only leave $89,520.50 that you would need to save over the next 17 years. Now, the $98,691.50 of liquidated assets, I suggested you liquidate Mark's first mutual growth fund and Maria's investment portfolio. But you have several other assets that you could possibly liquidate, including a second vehicle. I don't know if you need that second vehicle or not, but that's an option, as well as it looks like you have quite a bit of furniture and household effects that you have worth $27,000. So you could possibly liquidate some of that. You also have a boat worth $10,000. So in any case, I believe the amount you would need to liquidate now is about $98,691.50, and like I said, that would only leave $89,520.50 for you to save over the next 17 years, and that would equate to an annual savings of $11,160, which I believe is reasonable given your updated net cash flow of about $20,000. And if we took advantage of your employer's matching contribution of the employer matches 50 cents for every dollar that you contribute, up to a maximum of 3% of your combined salaries, which would be $3,720. You would only need to contribute $7,440 each year. So that is very reasonable for you guys. And why not take advantage of the maximum employer contribution, right? Because it's free money. And so now one thing I wanted to address was the fact that Mark says he wants to retire at the age of 64, but his full retirement age for Social Security purposes is not until he reaches the age of 67 for someone his age. Now, that would mean that if he retires before the age of 67, he would have reduced Social Security payments until the age of 67. So I've made the calculations on page 16 you can refer to, but he would have reduced Social Security payments of $5,200 for the first 3 years. So it might be beneficial to consider whether it's possible to work a little bit longer until Mark reaches retirement. That's up to you. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is the fact that your mortgage payments will, if you continue paying the same amount with the same rates, you will end up paying for your mortgage in your retirement years. I mentioned ways to take care of your mortgage before you retire under the mortgage section, because we expect your retirement income to be less. One last thing, really quick, the 401k asset allocation. You guys have a moderately aggressive risk tolerance because you want to earn 10% in the next 17 years. I suggest that you allocate your funds more towards the riskier, higher earning funds in the short run, And as you approach retirement, reallocating those funds to the more, to the less riskier, um, smaller growth funds. So that's about it. Thanks so much for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I look forward to speaking with you again next year to assess your financial situation at that time and make any updated revisions to your financial plan. Thanks so much.